Hello everybody, it's time for another English lesson with me and Zog. I wonder if you can remember what Zog and you were up to yesterday. Have a quick think. I hope you said that yesterday you and Zog were learning to fly. That's right, you were learning to fly. You had flying competitions and you made flying certificates. How exciting. Year 1 was learning to fly. Let's remind ourselves of what happened in the story. So we got as far as this. We had got Zog and he had learned to fly, but at the end of him learning to fly, he went to practice on his own. And what happened? That's right, he bumped his head. It said, Zog went off to practice, flying fast and free. He soared and swooped and looped the loop and crashed into a tree. Poor Zog. Luckily, there's a good bit here. Then a little girl came by. Oh, please don't cry, she said. Perhaps you'd like a nice sticky plaster for your head. What a good idea, said Zog. Then up and off he flew, his plaster gleaming pinkly as he zigzagged through the blue. But today, they're not learning to fly anymore. I wonder if you can see what they're learning to do today. That's right. Year 2 of Dragon School is learning to roar. That's right. Okay, so today at Dragon School, Zog and his friends are learning to roar. Here is the rest of the story for Year 2. Can you see here they are? Year 2, learning to roar. A year went by, and in Year 2, the dragons learned to roar. More, said Madam Dragon, louder I implore. Now that you've been shown, you can practice on your own, and you'll be champion roarers by the time you're fully grown. Zog went off to practice. He roared with fearsome force. He kept it up for hours on end, but then his throat grew hoarse. What does hoarse mean? It's a funny word. Then his throat grew hoarse. Have a look at the picture, see if you can help you work it out. That's right, his throat's really sore. Sometimes if you do a lot of loud talking or shouting, you give yourself a sore throat, can't you? But luckily, somebody's come back. Just then, the girl came by again. She said, what rotten luck. Perhaps you'd like a nice soothing peppermint to suck. What a good idea, said Zog. And then up and off he flew, and breathing fumes of peppermint, he zigzagged through the blue. So today is Year 2 for Zog. He's learning to roar. Now I want to have a quick look at that word roar, because what sound is at the end of roar? What's the end sound in that word roar? That's right. I hope you said it's got an or sound. But look here. This is a new or sound, one we haven't done before. Or. That's right. It's got an o and a and a and all together. That o and a and r go or. What do we call it when we have 3 letters all together that make one sound? What do we call it? That's right. It's a trigraph. Trigraph. 3 letter shapes, but they make one sound when put together. And this is a new or sound. The o, the a, and the and they all go or. Remember we pretend we're being a donkey, we go or. Can you do that? Or. Fantastic. So we're going to have a think about this or sound because it is a new one we haven't done before. In fact, I know you're very clever and you know lots of or sounds. There are some new ones that we haven't learnt before, and I thought today was a really good day to show you some of those or sounds. Some you'll recognise and some you won't. So Hopefully you recognise this one, the O and the together, and together it says or, just like in this word here, which is fork, fork, or. You should recognise this one too, the A and the W together. They also say or. And we've got a S or, a saw. A saw like you cut wood with. But also we can say I saw something with my eyes, spelt the same. You should know this sound too here. That's right, the A and the together also go or. And this is or, like in this word here, it's a tricky word, this word. It goes or, tricky word. What's that one? It's autumn, autumn. So we've got or, and or. And they're all ones we have learnt before. These ones coming up are new ones we might not have talked about before. If we've come up with them, sometimes we might have said, oh yes, look, that's a different way, but we haven't had lessons about them. This one here, the A and the O, is a bit tricky, but it's like in the word talk, talk. So the A and the O together can sometimes go or too. We've got this one here. O, and together they can go or too, like in this word here, p, or, paw. I've got another one here. This one is really mean looking, isn't it? This is really tricky. This one here, the A and the and the G and the H together can sometimes make the or sound too. It's in this word here, d, d, or, t, d, or, t, daughter. We're working really hard today. And here's another one we haven't done before. This is also the or sound, the O and the and the E together. And that's like in this word here, s, or, saw. Hang on a minute. We've already had saw over here. This was saw, like saws the wood, and saw with our eyes. This is a different sort of saw. What does that mean, that saw? That's right, that's when it's painful. It hurts. They've hurt their arm. It's sore, it hurts. And there's another or sound here, which looks very similar to the first or sound, but it's got two O together. And together, those double O and the go or too, like in this word here, d, or, door. Poof, what a lot of or sounds. That is very sneaky. But it's okay, you don't have to remember them all, but it's good to have a talk about them and think about them. So these are lots of different or sounds. And I'm showing you them today because today, thinking about that or sound and thinking about Zog, who's learning to roar today, I would like you to have a think about your dragon, and we're going to have a go at writing a dragon list poem, thinking about rhyming words with that or sound in them. So I had a little think before we started. You can have a think now, or you could pause the video and think of some or words yourself. Or if you think, oh, it's quite tricky, Miss Brown, I have put some on the screen that can help you. So before I started today, I thought, what or sounds can I think of that might be good when I'm thinking about my dragon? I came up with these ones here. I wonder if you can help me read them. There are some tricky or sounds in here. So I've got this one here, j, or, that's right, it's jaw, j, or, jaw. Thinking about the dragon's jaw. Came up with this one too. K, oo, or. And we know that the k and the oo, sometimes we can squash those beans together and make a cl, can't we? Makes it a bit easier to read. Cl, or. So I've got cl, or. What's that word? That's right, claw, the dragon's claws. I thought about this word too, because the dragon might need it. The f, and or. the floor. So the dragon might be standing on the floor, might be falling on the floor if he's dog learning to fly. Floor. Very important in his castle, he might have a d, or. That's right, the door. I also thought of this one here. P, or. The dragon's paw. Because we talk about animals' hands and feet, and we call them paws. So I thought we could use that for the dragon too. This one here, one that Zog is learning today, we've got and or. That's right, it's roar. And here I've got or. We're just talking about this one. He saw something, the dragon saw something. And or, like he's been hurt. And we know that, unfortunately, Zog is a bit accident prone and he does hurt himself. So today, you might want to use my or words. You might want to think of your own. Either is fine. But I'd like you to write a list poem about the dragon that you invented on Monday. So on Monday, you drew your own dragon, you as a dragon. I'd like you to write a little list poem about yourself. Or if you want to, you could write about Zog or one of his friends. And the format I'd like you to use is nice and simple. It's a list poem, so it repeats every time. We're going to write the same words to start every time, which is the dragon. So the tricky word, the. How do I write that? That's right. Makes that tricky word the. It's got a capital T because it's the start of my sentence. The dragon. Now we talked about that tricky dragon word right at the beginning on Monday. How do I spell dragon? D, R, A, G, on dragon. The dragon. The dragon. Now I'm going to use one of my or words at the end of my sentence because it needs to rhyme this poem. I'm going to make those list poem, the rhyming words go at the end. So the dragon has huge claws. The dragon has huge claws. Okay, so we've got that or sound in it. I'm going to pop a full stop at the end because I'm going to write my list poem like sentences because that's good practice for us with our capital letters and full stops. The dragon has huge claws. Brilliant. Then to write my list poem, I repeat the same starting line. So the dragon again. The dragon. And this time, remember, I'm still going to finish with a or sound, a word with an or sound at the end, but I'm going to pick a different one. So I've done claws. So I go back to my or words and think, what else could I use? The dragon has huge claws. The dragon has huge claws. The dragon. I'm going to silly one. Can you read it? It said, the dragon fell on the floor. The dragon has huge claws. The dragon fell on the floor. Claws and floor. Okay, I'm going to write another one. The dragon again. So I wonder if you can tell me how to write it. The tricky word, dragon. The dragon has huge claws. The dragon fell on the floor. The dragon has an adjective here, a mighty roar. And I'm going to put another exclamation mark because it's a scary, loud sentence. So the dragon has huge claws. The dragon fell on the floor. The dragon has a mighty roar. I'm going to go back and improve my poem because I think I'm going to tell a little story with my list poem. So the dragon has huge claws. I've done the word claw and I've done the word roar and I've done the word floor. But I think after the word floor, a saw would be a really good word to use. So I'm going to put another sentence in the middle for my poem. So the dragon has huge claws. The dragon fell on the floor because saw works well. If you fell on the floor with something, it would be saw. So the dragon fell on the floor. The dragon feels very sore. I think that's a bit funny, so I'm going to have another exclamation mark. I used quite a few today, but that doesn't matter. So I'm going to read it again. The dragon has huge claws. The dragon fell on the floor. The dragon feels very sore. The dragon has a mighty roar. Okay, so I've had a go at writing a little bit of a list poem, all with those or words at the end. So the list poem has the same start, the dragon, every time. I've remembered my capital letter at the start of my sentence. So that is my awesome orange today, one of my awesome oranges. I've thought about what I need to do. I need to use awesome orange, capital letters to start my sentence. So with my awesome orange, I'm going to say, well done, Miss Brown. You've got a capital letter at the start of your sentences. There it is, the, and I spelled the tricky word there, right? Well done, me. The dragon, I've spelled dragon right every time, and that's something we've been learning. So when you learn a word, you have to spell it right again. So good, the dragon. I've put some punctuation at the end of my sentence. Now, we don't always use punctuation in poems, but I think in year one, it's a really good practice to practice putting punctuation at the end of sentences. So we'll stick with that. So some awesome orange punctuation at the end of my sentences. I've also thought about those or words. So I've got claws, floor, saw, and roar. So they're my awesome orange today. Normally, we don't start a new line for every sentence, but because we're writing a poem, that's a really good way of the format of a poem. We will talk about verses and things like that for poems when we're back in school. But today, we're just going to start a new line to change the verse for our poem. So we've got capital letters to start our sentences for awesome orange. We've got or words that have the or sound at the end of each line of our poem. I've got some punctuation. I've remembered to spell that tricky dragon word correctly. And when you write it, of course, you will always be using your neatest handwriting. I can't wait to hear your dragon list poems. They sound really exciting. So I'm going to send you off now and say, it's time to get started. Remember, if you're thinking it's a bit tricky with those or sounds, you can leave this on your screen to help you with the or sounds on it and some of the words I've come up with to help you. Or you can have a go at your own. Have a lovely day and enjoy year 2 of Dragon School, learning to roar. See you later. Bye.